Hey everyone, welcome to the Summer Rewind edition of the ThinkEnergy podcast. While we recharge our batteries during these lazy, hazy days of summer, we're bringing back some blasts from our podcast past. We'll be reintroducing some of the most popular interviews that garnered a lot of attention and interest. Perhaps not a coincidence, but they're all focused on the future of the energy sector with themes like renewable energy, green innovation, and being eco-conscious. So I hope you truly enjoy our Summer Rewind edition. In the meantime, have a happy summer, and we'll be back September 6th to kick off another exciting season of the ThinkEnergy podcast. This is the ThinkEnergy podcast, and I'm your host, Dan Seguin from Hydro Ottawa. Are you looking to better understand the fast-changing world of energy? Well, the ThinkEnergy podcast isn't your ordinary energy show. Every 2 weeks, we take you on a tour and discuss, through a communication lens, some of the coolest trends, emerging technologies, and latest innovations. So stay tuned as we explore some traditional and some quirky facets of this industry. This is the ThinkEnergy podcast. Greetings, everyone, and welcome back. This is episode 15 of the ThinkEnergy podcast. We spend our lives in buildings, at home, at the office, community centers, shopping malls, movie theaters, and the list goes on. We're also surrounded by smart technology and gadgets, smartphones that can turn on the heating in your home before you get there, smart watches that track how many steps you take each day. Now that smart technology has made a remarkable entry into commercial office building space. Enabled by technology, smart buildings have the potential to consume less energy, generate less waste, and provide better quality spaces for their occupants. Did you know buildings produce 17% of Canada's greenhouse gases, including emissions from generating electricity that buildings use? Modern buildings are equipped with thousands of sensors recording air quality, humidity, motion, temperature, and the presence of noxious gas like carbon monoxide, formaldehyde. These sensors continuously record energy, consumption, and waste. Smart algorithms running on network computers analyze sensor-generated data in real time to keep the building systems running at peak efficiency while the air is clean and fresh. So here's today's big question. Smart buildings lead to smart cities. How practical is it for building owners to adopt these new technologies, and can they actually improve the bottom line? Our guest today is Terry Young, Vice President of Operations at KRP Properties. He manages a portfolio of over 30 commercial properties in Ottawa's high-tech hub in Canada. Welcome to the ThinkEnergy podcast, Terry. So what's your take on this smart building trend? What are some of the technologies you've adopted in your own buildings?
So I don't even know if I'd call it a trend. It is a must-have moving forward. Basically what we've tried to do is try to understand how our buildings use the utilities, be it gas, be it utilities, gas, electric, and or water, and try to understand how that from an energy perspective is being used, but how do I make my clients comfortable? So we've sort of broken it down into three things: safety, comfort, and energy. Mm-hmm. That's how we kind of run our buildings. So some of the technologies that we've put in place is anywhere from, low voltage DC lighting, LED lights. Yeah. We've put in state-of-the-art building automation systems. We run artificial intelligence. The IoT devices, there's millions of them. We've tried probably millions, and we don't have millions, but we've, we play a lot in this space to try to make you more comfortable burning less energy. Exactly, right?
Okay. Quick question, how does AI fit into that? You just talked about artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so I could talk here for like 5 hours on this. This is my thing. I love this. So what we found is we get data coming in from these sensors and the IoT thing. So we talked about earlier on. How do you maximize the efficiency of how you're running a building? You say, well, I can turn off the lights at 4 o'clock when people are going. Absolutely. But how can holistically you look at how the building's burning its energy and how you're maximizing the comfort to the 4th or 5th decimal place? And this is where AI comes in. So we feed all of the data that we get in from these sensors in our buildings, and we feed it into a data analytics platform. And what that does, it understands how the building is really being used by the people in the building. Okay? And I'll give you a quick example. So if you got an R&D department who meet every second Thursday, for instance, and what the building will do, it'll start understanding the trends of how that room and that section of the building is being used. So if it's not being used, the building's going to say, well, I don't need to light it and I don't need to air condition it properly. So if I'm only going to do that if indeed they use the building. So over time, trending will actually start to occur, and the analytics takes over to automatically lower the temperature, turn off the lights, etc. Likewise, if these guys are going for pints and they're trying to bugger off every Friday, not that ever happens around anywhere, the building sort of starts understanding that they'll start shutting the lights down at 3 o'clock. Yeah. So basically, we've been very fortunate in some of our buildings. Putting this AI stuff in, we can save 27, even up to 30% of energy just by turning this stuff off.
Okay. Well, that actually flows nicely into the next one, and if maybe you have something to add. So the question was around how does it work, and how does it help make your building minimize energy costs, support the electricity grid, and mitigate environmental impacts?
Yeah, again, great question, and it's quite loaded and has many levels of answers. So I'll try to simplify it. Minimize the use of every electrical device in your building. Basically, if you have another example, if you got a 60 horsepower motor on the roof driving a fan, for instance, what that does is now this technology will say, I don't need the full 60 horsepower. So at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe we need 22 horsepower or it's 6 horsepower. So we put variable speed drives in, variable stuff. And again, remember, this technology is understanding holistically how that fan works. So you only will use the minimum amount to maintain your comfort. So ultimately, what will happen is twofold. One, you're going to burn less energy, full stop.
Reducing your carbon footprint.
Exactly. Among other things, and this is where the math is sort of very hard to quantify. I don't replace it normally. So if you have a useful motor, you have a useful life of say 18 to 20 years on electric motor, for instance. That's under normal conditions. I've minimized those normal conditions now with the software. So what happens is I don't need to spend $300,000 or whatever that huge amount of investment is from a capital perspective to buy a new motor 18 years. I may be able to push that to 22 to 25.
You extend the life expectancy.
Here's the thing. The amount of energy and the amount of everything, carbon and everything to build the motor, I'm not throwing it out. I'm not building a new one. I'm actually trying to save and extend the lifespan of what I have already.
The only thing is maintenance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, the come back to the artificial intelligence, predictive maintenance. So this is the artificial intelligence gives us the ability to predict based on trending analytics now. So we actually be able to maintain and operate even when I say 100 times better, literally 100 times better than we did before.
So these improving these system efficiencies, like venting and lighting you were talking about, does actually affect the bottom line, and I would assume in a positive way, and also with your your carbon footprint. Yeah.
Well, so not to get too technical, but the more efficient you can run a building, obviously, the less money that you have to spend to run it. So, right, that's a bottom line number. Likewise, you create a brand when you run a building like this that people want to be there, and they're willing to pay a premium sometimes to lease this space in a building like that because their operating costs are lower and they're more comfortable. So, it's good business. Okay. Very good business.
Okay. What are some of the potential barriers, though, to the adoption of smart building solutions? Like, I mean, are there any... Talk to me maybe about return on investment, maybe the inconvenience factor of downtimes to get that set up.
Yeah, so not too much downtime. Return on investment is certainly probably the biggest, if not anything. It's huge amounts of money to do this. How, when, where, all that kind of stuff we can play with. But coming up with the $1 million or the $350,000 or whatever it is, that's the biggest problem we have. Some of this technology, the payback is not even quantifiable. 4 years, 10 years, 12 years. I'm a finance guy, and that doesn't make any sense. So, after 7 years, there's not really a return. So we try to, put if it's any less than 3 years, it's a pretty good business sort of decision. The biggest, besides the money, is and again, before I continue to number two, there are specific financial institutions now who specialize in this too, by the way. Okay. So if you got a building or you're in the space where you don't know exactly what to do and you don't think you have the money, most of our lending institutions now, they do have specific people who understand the technology and are willing to loan you money to buy the technology, because that's what they're really specifically their expertise there. Yeah. So, and there's divisions of all the big banks have divisions now, and we often get third-party financing from these guys.
Okay.
So that's one, the financing, check. Number two is we're having a big issue with HR. So it's one thing to put in a great system and it's amazing. Who's going to run it? So at the end of the day, you still need a smart human behind everything. So, we often say, well, we're working ourselves out of a job. Never. Okay. You will always, always need somebody to understand the number and how to run it. So, most of our workforce is probably like in everybody's outfit. They're 55 and over. Yeah. And so we're bringing a lot of this technology in. And we're struggling trying to find the expertise to run it efficiently.
Yeah, that was one of the questions actually that I had. Now that you have this advanced technology in your buildings, how do you convince the operators that you have in hand to join that smart workforce? And how do you recruit? Are they there yet? Do you have that workforce available?
No, I don't have a fully. Our workforce is again, probably 60% is over 55 years old. We have adopted a lot. What we've done is we've had to change the way we do business a little bit. So when we purchase something, we don't purchase just the thing. I purchase training for the thing. So okay. You see how it changed a little bit. Now, you come back to the economics now. So the ROI, because I've just increased my bill a little bit. But in order to maximize, it's like golf lessons. And I've used this example 1,000 times. So I buy a brand new set of ping golf clubs, and if I give that to a person who don't know how to play golf, the ball's still going to be in the woods.
Yeah.
It's best to buy the ping golf clubs and get a golf lesson or two.
Yeah.
It's worth the $1,200. It really is. And this is where we are right now. So we've done in all of our building automation systems or AI, I bring the guy in, bring the boys in, and we have here's how I can make my client, because we're very, it's almost a personal thing for us. And so it's our clients, it's my clients. If I can make you more comfortable by sitting in some training and doing a little better job, that's what I'm going to do. And most of our guys are very, very dedicated like that. So, training is the key. And at the end result, when we look and and I obviously bring numbers to all this and benchmark this, we're doing better. So we make our clients more comfortable by burning less energy. Life is good. That's basically our job.
Cool.
Yeah.
Will optimization of these systems provide data that can translate into actionable asset repairs or replacement?
Oh, absolutely.
I think you touched on it
I
earlier.
did. Yeah. No, we're I wouldn't say all, but a lot of our capital investment now is based on analytics. And basically, we bring these numbers in, and we can cross-reference it now from a financial perspective to understand how much, from an operational perspective, we've been spending on a certain asset class, be it a fan or a motor or something like that. And then the analytics will come in and say, you've repaired this 66 times, you have 88 service calls, heat and cold calls. There's an issue. There's a red point here. You should look at replacing this because there's a couple of parameters that aren't looking good. Now, if you didn't have some piece of software looking at this. There's no way that you could, we have tens of thousands of devices. You'd never be able to do that. But this AI stuff, when you open the screen, it actually comes up with a green, red, and yellow. So if it's red, we got to look at it. If it's green, we're good. And it sort of categorizes in a hierarchy perspective what I need to look at exactly. And remember, every point is being looked at, so I know right down to the thermostat if there's an issue. So,
okay. We're talking a lot about the technology, but you have these providers also that are closely linked to that, the building automation systems of this world, if you want. Are you able to expand on your partnership model to execute on your smart building strategy?
Oh, absolutely. The only reason we're successful is because we have great partners. And shout out to you guys as well, the Hydro Ottawa guys. We budget and we look at what we're going to do based on your recommendations and your expertise. You have teams of really smart people. Get them around the table. They're more than happy. They're some of the smartest guys in our business. Ask them for advice. What a concept. So we literally get partners, and that's exactly, we don't have vendors and clients, and we got partners sit around a table, and we got lots of smart people. We got building automation guys, we got cybersecurity guys, IT guys, utility guys, and they're all wanting to try to make a difference. So you sit them around a table, you put a sort of a pathway, and it's amazing what can be achieved with smart people around the table. And then so you layer then the finance piece, and you layer the analytics piece, you layer the smarts. There's no way you can make the right decision has to float to the top. Okay, so you don't second guess yourself anymore. So if you have to spend $1 million or $5 million, whatever it is, beyond a shadow of a doubt you've made a really good decision because everybody around the table is in the same direction as you are.
Let's look at the other side of the spectrum. All those good decisions, but is there something that keeps you up at night? What makes you nervous?
Cybersecurity.
Okay.
Care
to expand?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I sit on a pile of boards and we have a conference every year with Realcomm, which specifically understands how the operational side of a building operates. We're all online now, okay? And it's vulnerable in certain circumstances how you are online from a building perspective. So there's bad guys in the world, unfortunately, and for whatever reason they're trying to be destructive, and how you can sort of solve that, or how to barricade those bad guys to come, because you don't want your clients, you just want to keep lights on, keep them warm, and some bad guy wants to stop that, unfortunately. So we put up a pile of sort of cybersecurity and firewalls and a whole pile of IT things that one of our IT experts sort of helps us out with. But at the end of the day, I'm worried that as we get further and further down the line, everything is online. Everything, there's a cybersecurity issue, and there's a cost to that. And so we got all this data is out there. We have our buildings, our clients, rely on us as landlords to ensure that they're safe and their lights are on and they're heat and cold. So, as we get more and more technologically advanced, we have to combat that every single day. The building of yesteryear was, as long as you don't let the guy in by the electrical switch in the electrical room, lights are still going to be on. That's not the case anymore. You go in, even this building's probably no light switches. Many of our buildings don't. So if so that's probably what keeps me up the most.
Okay, that was very informational. I appreciate this. Listen, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
If someone wanted to connect with you, what's the best way?
Hey, my phone for sure. Call my office, KRP Properties, or tyoung@krpproperties.com. Absolutely. I have a LinkedIn profile as well. And I enjoy speaking on this topic.
Very passionate.
Yeah, I like it. It's better. The buildings that we run are better because of it. And I think as a society, And as a community, we're very fortunate to have a very tight-knit community. If we all chat, which we do, our carbon footprint as a whole, as our industry, can drop because we're just doing things a little better, a little cleaner. So if I can learn from somebody, if they can learn from us how to do a little bit better, I think we can, how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. So I think we're going to do really good things here.
Thanks again, Terry.
No worries. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Hey folks, thank you for joining us today. I truly hope you enjoyed this episode of ThinkEnergy. For past episodes, make sure you visit our website, hydroottawa.com/podcast. Lastly, if you found value in this podcast, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or maybe even tell a friend or a colleague. Anyway, this podcast is a wrap. Peace, everyone.